Hey, real quick before we get into this video, today and tomorrow as this video drops, there will be some online client tournaments for Fusion World hosted by myself and by Stage Zero. So if you guys want to check them out, they're linked in the description below. They're the main kind of sources that we use to get the information for these videos kind of in lieu of official events, and they've honestly been really, really fun. So make sure to check them out and enjoy the video. Hey everyone, Ekman here with another video, and we've had Fusion World for a little bit over a month now, especially like with the online clients, been a little bit over a month, and I've done a lot of events on my website, Ekman Events, and also Stage Zero has hosted a lot of events as well, and we've had enough that I wanted to kind of just go over what's been topping so far and how tournaments are doing, and just kind of do like a 1 month like later meta update, just based on what I've been seeing and my opinions, but also the data that we've been able to get as well. So these are like our weeklies that are like a little bit smaller. They're usually between 40 and 64 players, but they're just really good resources and they've been a lot of fun as well. So again, just want to kind of go over the data and just kind of show what my mindset has been for this game and the meta and how it's shifted over the last couple of weeks, because there has been some shifts as well. So we'll go over the data itself. We'll go over the topping deck list for the 6 events that we've gone over for this event, and then we'll also have a tier list update at the end, just kind of going over and reflecting my data since the last time I made one of those. So we can just jump on in and get started with our meta report as it is. So there are 6 events that we did. We did one 128 cap event and also 5 64 cap events. Again, if you want any of these deck lists, they're going to be on my website, Eggman Events, which is linked in the description. Of these events, we did have 3 winners, be Frieza, 1 be Son Gohan, 1 be Beerus, and 1 be Star Deck Goku. So honestly, a good amount of variety. Surprising to me that no one's won with Broly yet, since I think that's been one of the more popular, if not the most popular leader that I've been seeing on ladder, at least when doing that as well. So that's been really interesting. You can see that Broly's been present every week, but not winning either. And then Frieza specifically getting the most amount of wins is really interesting. So I've kind of been flip-flopping if it's like my least favorite or my favorite yellow leader. And at this point, I think it's pretty clear that it's very strong and honestly like just very consistent. I think that's the big thing that Frieza's been really finding compared to some other decks, is that the consistency is really big for it and can help out the deck in a lot of ways. So those are kind of what's we're looking at there. And if we want to look at the leaders specifically, so for these are all the ones that have topped. Changed depended on like the how many people are in the tournament itself, but we have 16 Friezas, so about half or a quarter of them. 13 Gohans, 10 Beerus, 7 Brolys, 4 Star Deck Goku, 4 Cooler, 3 Universe 7 Goku, 3 Aandroidd 17, 2 Goku Black, 1 Vegeta, and 1 Trunks Future as well. So kind of seeing that Frieza, Gohan, Beerus, Broly, and Star Deck Goku taking about 75% of the tops for these, and then we have a little bit of everything else. Only leader that did not get a topping result is Ginyu, and I'm personally not too surprised about it. I do still kind of think it's like the worst deck that we can play, but I also think that this kind of shows that so many decks are viable. Even the ones that are maybe less used, they do have a chance to top these events, and I think that's really cool and kind of indicative of like a really good format that I think we're in right now, honestly. I kind of talk to other people. I try games and just different people's play styles, and I think with how this game is right now, there's just kind of opens up to a lot of reflective of skill and personality, which is really cool. So those are the leaders, and then also if you want to look at the leader metagame, so these are the leaders that people brought to these events as well. So again, we're still seeing about 75% of Frieza, Gohan, Broly, Beerus, and the Goku from the Star Deck. We did see that more people were playing the U7 Goku than the Star Deck Goku, but obviously not doing as well with it. And then kind of like a 25 to 30% of the rest there between Cooler, Aandroidd 17, Vegeta, Goku Black, Trunks Future, and there were some Ginyu players, so they were present, just not on the topping side. But something that I've kind of seen that kind of helps represent a healthy meta too is the fact that when the people bringing decks to the people topping with decks are kind of even in a lot of ways, and you'll kind of see like they're not that honestly different, right? People who are playing Frieza, they're topping with Frieza, right? But not more so than what the percentage of people bring in the deck, if that makes sense. So again, it is like a 75-ish split between the top 5, at least by leaders, but it also means that they're taking about 75% of the metagame. So that's kind of healthy from that side in my mind too. So That's kind of just all the kind of hard data that I have for these ones. But I think it is kind of interesting to see that one, Frieza's doing very well. The green decks that are popular, Broly and Gohan, are in a good spot. Specifically, they're still kind of fighting between the two each other, and there's a couple red decks that are pretty good as well. So, anyways, those kind of like the hard facts once again. And let's go over the topping leaders, or sorry, the first place leaders that happened during these 6 events. All right, and here are the 6 decks that we're going to go over real quick. We have 3 of them being Frieza, which we have Kody's, Joseph's, and Danny's version of them here. Kody's was from the first event that we ran back in February, so definitely on the plus side of the 1+ months for this meta, but you'll see that this deck has some kind of interesting choices. Biggest one that I see that the other 2 decks were playing were Raccoon, and we're not seeing in Kody's version, just like a really, really grindy value-based game for this, being the Ginyu, being the like 4 copies of that, 4 Zarbons, 4 Friezas, 4 Sorbets, just a lot of value for what it is. Qui's been like off and on as a tech choice. It's very good against green because they have a hard time removing it with either Broly or Aandroidd 17/18 without, having to prevent, stopping them from having their turn with attacking with those 2, which is pretty nice. Ginyu at 3 copies, I think most are bumping up to 4, just realizing how good that card is in general. And then the Nia's, the Frieza, the Cooler, and the Golden Frieza as well for Kody. So looking at Joseph's as well, we do see that some people do like playing the 4-drop Frieza in the build. I've been kind of leaning out against it a little bit, just finding better. One, that Cooler's just better in the leader itself. Getting the double block for free is really nice, and like in the mirror match specifically, if they can rest your Frieza, then you just never get to attack with it ever, which is pretty rough. But then again, looking at like the 4 of each of the 1-drops here, we do have like a Kui in this one. We do have the Frieza, no copies of the Zarbon, which I do like playing the 2-drop Zarbon just to help getting our Kinyu synergies there, but no copies in that one. And then running the 2 copies of Supernova. I'm kind of off and on this card. I like it a little bit in Cooler, where it's a little bit easier to have that 1 energy open for it, but it can prevent some cards going off, specifically against red. It's like one of our few ways to at least stun, like the 3-drop Goku, which can be a menace in a lot of other ways. So I don't mind having the card in there. It's just like a little bit tricky since Frieza does have like not as much flexibility with their energy compared to Cooler at times. But this is Joseph's build, and then most recently we had Danny win with Frieza with this one. So this is, I'd say, more of where I'm at in the way of 4 1-drops. We do have our Zarbon. We have 4 copies of Kui, Ginyu, no extra cards, and no copies of the 4-drop Frieza. So just kind of like the variance between the 3 decks. I know that with the card pool that we have right now, it's the smallest it will ever be in this card game. So there's not as much variety as we could have, but I do like seeing like the differences, even because like these are through different weeks of the like Frieza won like at the beginning, the middle, and end of what this format that we're covering. So being able to see the differences between all 3 of those, I think, is really cool. So those are Kody's, Joseph, and Danny's versions of Frieza. And then next up we have Jonathan with their copy of Some Gohan Childhood. And I think this was the deck that a lot of people day one felt like was the best deck in the format, and I would probably be pretty close to it as well. If you're able to establish your 5-drop Goku, you can do some really, really good stuff with it in a lot of ways. But this one's really interesting. So this is from the Stage 0 event, so I haven't really gone over this list, particularly in my deck, or my videos too, but some really interesting ratios of like 1 copy of Trunks Future, 2 copies of the Son Goku, and then we also have like a pretty big top end of Son Gohan Childhood Turles, 3 copies of 17/18, 1 of the Secret Rare, and then 4 of the Brolys too. So like the one issue that I've noticed with Gohan Childhood, and I've been doing a lot of Aandroidd 17 gameplay instead too, is that you really, really do need this 5-drop Goku to get like max value from your leader. And then if you don't find this, or you don't find when you can go down on your energy, your leader is pretty much vanilla for most of the game, which kind of stinks. So I obviously you run this. I'm not sure why they didn't run 4. I don't know if it was accessibility, which it must not be because they're running 4 copies of the Vegeta too. But it's just really interesting to see that not wanting to run as much as this. It is only a 5K combo, so that does hurt you a little bit for that one. But just some really unique ratios too, with like the 2 Moas and like 1 Paragus for maybe some self-waking is a 10k. We are running the instant Kamehameha, Gigantic Meteor, and Destructive Strength, but and then also one of the Trunks feature, which really is only good in like the mirror match. Every other color can kind of address this in one way or the other, and it's just really hard to get like that ramp off this guy, but you can occasionally as well. So anyways, this is a more unique build, but it did win one of the Stage 0 events, and congratulations to Jonathan for their finish on that one. All right, next up we have Beerus. So this is Steven's version of the build here, and it's really interesting to see Beerus just do well. My personal opinion and testing is that it's been really tough against Broly a lot of the time, which is more common on the ladder than it has seemed in these tournaments that we're playing, but it is a very strong and flexible deck. We'll see that Steven's build is also just filled with 1s, 2s, and 3s for what the deck looks like. I am a pretty big fan of this Botamo in the deck just because it is kind of like a little bit tricky to handle, and like in some matches you really don't care when you awaken because that 20k critical pressure is in a good spot, and but then they don't really want to attack into this Botamo because it can't be KO'd in battle, which is honestly pretty good in set 1 as we are. So we also do have like Hit, which has been honestly I think one of my favorite red cards. It's very strong for controlling the early game, and it's kind of like the 2-drop Frieza that we're seeing in yellow a lot of the time. It's been really flexible and making sure that you awaken if you need to. Fu is very good with Beerus. Being able to get rid of a 25k for only 2 energy is great in a lot of situations, and it's a 10k in a lot of others, so that's good there too. We do have the Son Goku. Being able to use this to be a 25k when we're awakened helps us. I think it helps us start at Goku a little bit more, but that's good. This Goku is still like my favorite red card. It is just so good being a 25k. Most decks just really don't have a great answer to this immediately, which means you get to be a little bit of a bully with it a lot of the time. The fact that it self-awakens. Obviously, the only bad part about it is that it does not have any combo cost or power, but other than that, it's been great. Son Goku, this I think is better for Beerus than it is for other red decks, just because this is specifically like Beerus has some hard times closing out games, but this kind of functions as removal and damage, specifically since you can combo it with your leader effect, so that's good. And then our top end of Son Goku, Beerus, and Shin with these. Still don't know how I feel about top, but the rest of this deck seems really self-explanatory. So here's Steven's build. I know he's been grinding a lot in these tournaments too, and he's been doing really well with this beard build. And honestly, like most of the representation might just be him on Beerus, but he's been doing a really, really good job for it. So there it is there. And then lastly, we do have Son Goku. This is Kevin's list of it here, and I've been really enjoying seeing what this deck's been going through, and it's been developing in the last couple of weeks. It's probably my favorite red deck at this point as well. I think a lot of people were thinking that U7 Goku, like the one from the actual booster, was going to be the better of the two, especially because like the boosting effect was great, and most things are already Universe 7. And my big issue with the deck is that it's really tricky to consistently have like more than one like really good 5k target. Sometimes you get like a 1-drop Shinhan, and it can hit for 20, and it feels kind of nice to poke damage for 1. But by and large, like you really don't really need the effect as much, and the defense capabilities from Sardak Goku kind of outshine in a lot of scenarios as well. Like if you're able to again establish this 3-drop Goku, it can be a 30k once per turn whenever you need to, which is really good on defense, and it makes it hard for your opponent to really get out of it, or like get rid of this thing outside of like hard removal, which only really green can do. And red's hard removal usually caps out at like 20k, so it gets over that by 5, which is really nice too. And then being able to just get some real aggression on like these, and like so you'll see like there's a bunch of vanillas in these as well. And you might be wondering, oh, why are we playing these vanillas? And it's just like we're in a good spot. Like if we have this 30k or 25k body out on the board, we really just want to tell our opponent, you just don't have a way to remove this outside of hard removal, because yellow can't get rid of a 25k very easily, red can't, and then blue can bounce it back to our hand, but then they're 10k combos anyways, so we still get the value from it. So I think these are all just really good picks for it. We still have the boy Botamo, which I like a lot too, just for, again, his resilience. And the deck is I don't know. I think the deck is great, and that Goku can get a lot of value and grind out some really good games, and still have finishing power with Goku as well. So, anyways, this is Kevin's list, and if you guys want any of these lists, you can check them out on my website. We got a lot more as well, but these are the ones that have won the tournaments that we've been hosting, and they've been really fun to look over again as well. So, anyways, let's kind of end up this video with an updated tier list. All right, and to end this video, we do have an updated tier list. This is a tier list that we had a couple weeks ago on my channel, so this is not the new one. But these were what my thoughts were at the time, and two big things have kind of changed to kind of sculpt the one that we're going to go to. The first one being just honestly looking through all this data and seeing what's actually been topping, hosting these tournaments, and seeing what people have been using and their records, and just pretty much all the data that we looked at through this video. And the second thing is that playing more, but not just against anyone, but with the update to the matchmaking on the online client, just means that I'm consistently playing better players. And that means, strategies that I thought were kind of okay turned out not being great, right? Are some decks like, oh, I could go 10-0 with this deck, and it's because I'm playing bronze and silver players. And I'm like, oh yeah, but this strategy still works against real players. I lied. So that's kind of why I think that my opinions have changed, looking through more stuff. And honestly, I do think this is a very diverse meta, despite, like, again, being like the smallest one we'll ever have. And because of that, and just seeing different play styles and people developing new techniques and strategies, it's still very, very fluid, which is really fun to be a part of, honestly. So anyways, this is the old tier list, and at the new one, we have this one a little bit more condensed. And honestly, we'll see that we have two empty tiers. We've got best deck and format and unplayable. What I'm just trying to say with this is that I don't think any deck is unplayable as a leader. I think a lot of them have success in their own way and can be very strong. And then also best deck in the format, I really don't know anymore. I think there's that. Honestly, like these five in particular are the ones that are likely to get there. But it's very, very tricky to know, especially without having our data on like a bigger scale than what I have right now. So, but I think like Frieza, Broly, Gohan are like the three easy picks. I think Goku starter deck or Beerus are creeping up there. You'll see that I thought that Goku is one of the worst ones, but the more I've tested, the more I've seen people play it, I have been convinced that it is better than what I've been putting it as. I also want to mention like the difference between these tier lists, or these positions in the tiers, are very small. They're not thinking like I think that it's impossible for Goku Black to be up here or anything like that. More just like I have to divide them up some way. I can't just put everything as viable and just call it a day. That's not a tier list. So, but I think these five are good. Beerus might be like fifth best deck in the format, but he's, I think, the best doing critical leader. If you guys have been watching my content, I've been playing a lot of cooler, and I thought this deck was better than it was, to be honest. And the more I've tested with honestly better players, I just haven't been having as much success as I used to have. So I'm putting it down here. Maybe I just had a bad day, but I think that he's still fine. But the critical leaders specifically, they can have such inconsistency that they look like the best deck in the game at times, and then sometimes they look like the worst deck in the game. So that's why I kind of put them as like this different little tier here, where I think that they are very strong when they need to be, but you can't get that every time, which is kind of a bit of a shame. And then the viable ones, these ones I just don't have much of an opinion. I really do like 17, 18. I'm not bold enough to put up here in the top five, but it's been great. Obviously, it's a green deck, and green has a lot of good cards. Being a 30k on offense for free for the second half of the game does help a lot of matchups, because it means that any 20k leader has to give you 10k or over 10k, so usually like a super combo, R2 cards for your leader attack, which is great. And then also it just means like you can attack into Broly for free, which not every deck can kind of boast doing that either. So I think that's been really strong for it. The other ones, I think these are all viable. The ordering in this list is probably not, maybe I'll put Goku there, but I think they're all in a good spot. I've seen a lot of these decks do well and have really good gameplay styles. I do think that blue is probably the worst color in the game, and mostly because they don't have any way to answer a card that costs more than 5, which a good amount of decks do have that potential to put those out. Mostly just green, and I guess the blue matchup itself. So the green itself is like the issue, right? It's so prevalent, and you don't really have a way to answer it. And then yellow, the fact that you put the cards back in their hand, yellow really doesn't care. Yellow's like, sick. Thank you for giving me some more cards back. not much has changed, unfortunately. So, but you can still win with these decks. Don't think I'm telling you that you can't. And I kind of mentioned as well, I think U7 Goku in the current meta, I think Star deck is just better. This is obviously a more aggressive deck. This is more of a value deck, but you don't. It's not easy for you to have a wide board to take full advantage of your leader, and it's easier just to have singletons that you can just make sure stay on the board a lot easier, or just can't really be affected by battle that much. So, and then Ginyu's like the worst deck in the format. Like I've never lost to this on the online client. I know that I'm going to be streaming it today, and I'm going to play Ginyu. I'm going to lose, and that's whatever. But I'm not saying that it's not playable. It's just saying that it is the worst deck, and it's very tricky to play with this deck in this format. But you can make it work. I just simply cannot myself. So. Anyways, that's going to end the tier list and this video as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a lot of work to compile all this data, and just obviously is my own data over the last couple weeks as well. But it was honestly really fun to see what's actually been doing well, and to see what this kind of set 1 format looks like, and see how it kind of transitions into set 2 now that we're getting more cards revealed. Now that set 2 is going to have official regional level events, which are going to be really fun. And I can't wait to be a part of either. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you all next time.